Hey guys, welcome back. This is SuperGuy KY, and today this is our project. So this is an old Cub Cadet ride mower. Easy there, neighbor dog. My dad gave me this when I moved out and bought my house on my own. So it's about 22 years old. It runs okay, but why am I working on it in the first place? I'll show you why. Okay guys, so it's raining and I went ahead and I pushed this into my garage here, but the problem is that the engine's trying to turn over while the blades are spinning. So what's happened is the PTO clutch is stuck on and it won't come off. So I've tried to fix it a few times, but I'm just done with it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a brand new PTO clutch on this Cub Cadet Model 2206 today. Now this is going to take a little bit of time. This is a Friday night for me, so I've got a little bit more than a regular day, but this is about everything we need here. It depends on how bad the rest of the mower is. This is our same Pittsburgh large tool set. These are some deep lug sockets. I have what I call my wrist saver. You guys remember this? This is from the TV video when I put that bracket into the brick. Remember? This is anti-seize to go onto the shaft. We have a torque wrench, breaker bar, an angle grinder just in case I have to grind some old bolts off. And right here is the brand new PTO. So what's happening on the current one is it's engaged and it won't unengage, okay? Or it won't disengage. That makes sense? So this is what a new one looks like. Right here is where I got this one from. So to replace the PTO clutch on a Cub Cadet, this is a front mounted PTO clutch. So what has to come off is the hood, both of these side panels, the front bumper, and everything associated with the exhaust. The muffkin shield, there's some shields inside, the little exhaust manifolds. I'll show you all of that. Let's hop to it. All right, so first things first, just lift the hood up. Okay, these side panels right here, these have to come off. They have some plastic wing nuts. This one was lost. I don't know what happened to it, so it just hangs there. Right inside here, these pop off, but you have one bolt here and one bolt down there. So all that you do is you spin this, okay? And it's really tough, okay? So you spin it, and there's a little spring that tries to keep it on. Now, all that you do is you yank it off, okay? Comes right off. Let's put it in our pile. Okay, here's the right side panel. Now let's take the hood off here. Okay, so it's not just the hood that has to come off, it's this entire front clip right here. So there's 4 bolts at the bottom of this bracket here, here, and here. There's 2 on the other side. These are 3/8. And using my wrist saver here. See? See the other side? All right, make sure you don't lose these. Once you get those 4 bolts off right at the bottom, the only thing that's left is this wiring harness. All I'm doing is setting this to the side for now. Putting it right here. Because I don't want to deal with unzip tying all of these, so I'm just going to leave it. Before we get to the muffkin shield right here and the actual muffkin right here, we have to get rid of these 2 panels. These 2 panels that go from the exhaust on both cylinders. These are 10 millimeter. Make sure you do not lose the washer, okay? Don't lose the washer that came with these little bolts. Came out of these little exhaust shields right here. Hold the shield while you take it off. When you can feel it off, just take it like that. Okay, when you have everything off, make sure you just put them back in. Set it to the side at the pile. Okay, on the right side exhaust shield, you have to remove the dipstick to get it off for this cutout. Remember, these are still 10 millimeters. All right, so my dad got this mower used from another guy. This is just a plain screw. You can see that, that's a Phillip head screw. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'll grab a screwdriver real quick and get that out. Remember this Phillip head right here? So just get a standard Phillip head, if whatever fastener that you have. So whoever actually did have this before me, look, little Phillip nut came off. They still have the washer. They used a Phillip head, but they still kept the washer. This could be an original fastener if that little hole right there is tapped. All right, now make sure to put this with the panel. Whenever you get that off, okay? So now let's take the dipstick out. Make sure you don't let anything fall into the bottom of the crankcase. Just put it right back in, just like that. Set your panel off to the side. When you're getting these two bolts off right here that hold this little shield on, it's helpful to have a U-joint because you can't get right at it, especially on this side, okay? So, these are 5/16. Don't worry, I'll pick that up. These are 5/16, all right? Let's hop the other side. Go. Now this comes off. Make sure you don't lose it. Okay, we got all the exhaust shields off. Before we get the muffkin off right here so we can get at this PTO clutch right here, we have to get rid of these bolts to get the bumper off, all right? These are 1/2 inch. I went up to a 1/2 inch drive socket wrench, give myself some more leverage. Wrong way. No, right side up is tighten. Right side up is loosen. There we go. Now, you didn't see it, but right up here, I just hit this spark plug wire, this ignition coil. Make sure to not touch that. See, my throw is right at it. So just be gentle that you don't hit anything. And I'll do the other side too. All right, so for my bumper right here, you can see on the back holes, there's a sleeve. See that? And it won't come out unless I pry out this whole cross member. So I'm just gonna leave it, but I can wiggle it. So it's a little easier for me. So now, let's go ahead and get the muffkin out. These are 5/16 right here. Now, I technically didn't have to take those out, but I'm just in a mood to disassemble right now. All right, so there's 3 bolts that hold this muffkin shield on right here. 1, 2, and 3's right down here. Yeah. Okay, so these are 9/16. Let's see if I can even break them loose. They could be rusted on. If they are, then I'll have to completely grind them off. You might want to use a U-joint here, but my belt's a little bit tighter than what I think. I'm using a 3/8 inch drive socket wrench because I need it. Okay, I could break that bolt loose. The one on the right, my right. So I just traded in for a shorter socket right there. Once again, these are 9/16. That worked. So when you're taking stuff apart, you can use hand tools. You can use impacts if you want, but that's a much higher likelihood of actually breaking it. So for that reason, what I usually use is just plain hand tools. When you're putting it back together, sometimes you have to torque it. The center bolt on the PTO requires a torque of about 50 pound-feet, so I will use my torque wrench for that. But everything else, basically hand tools. All right, now let's see if I can break this one right down here. I can break it. That means I won't have to use my grinder and grind these heads off. Then I'd have to re-weld inside the muffkin. Hang on, let me see if I can get that to seat. Come on, come on, come on. There we go, there we go. Come on, grab it. Nice and easy. All right, I got lucky. All of these came off for me. So it's really tight to get to this bolt back here. I don't know if you guys can see that. You can't, come around this side. So it's really tight to get to this bolt back in here. I'm sorry you can't see it, but the reason is because the belt's in the way, right? Okay, so let's undo the tension on the belt. Again, it's this lever right here, okay? So this is on the left side of the mower. All that you have to do, you have to get past this little C cross member right here. You go out, up, and here we go. There goes the whole thing. See that? Now I can just pull it, look at that. See that? A whole lot easier to get the belt off. Now all that I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna pull this up and ride over that PTO. And there we are done. Now don't completely get rid of it or you'll have to re-loop everything, but just hold it right down here, okay? All right, now that the belt's out of the way, look at all this room I have. Whole lot easier. Now, come on, let's rip it, rip it. So I heard everybody in the comments and they said, use Mr. Wrist Saver. So here I am, using Mr. Wrist Saver. And there we go, that is bolt number 2 out of the muffkin. Okay, now, let's see if I can get to bolt number 3 down here. And see if this has enough torque to rip it out. And what do you know? Doesn't. So I gotta do this one right down here by hand the whole way. So the whole muffin shifted. Yeah, that awful noise. The whole muffin shifted and it fell out of position. That's probably why it was so hard to do it. See if that helps. That helps some. Oh, did I just get it? Yep, I get it. Yep, I got it. Almost no resistance at all. That's what you want. There he goes. Last one is out. Okay, let's come around to the front up here. If you look in the light, you can see why this last one's out. That bolt completely sheared itself off. It's supposed to be that long. Well, look at that. So, if I really wanted to, I could go to Lowe's and buy another one of these. All that I'm gonna do is super glue it. Now that these 3 bolts right here are off, I can go ahead and wiggle off the muffin shield here. Now you just gotta bang it. There's no exact way on how to get this thing off. Okay, now right here, this is coming right out of the cylinders. This threads into it, so you just gotta wiggle. And for me, actually, I've got the hood in the way. Because remember, I just set it to the side because I didn't want to get that wiring harness out. There we go. And that is the whole muffin out. You can see right there how that bolt sheared off on that one. If you're sitting on the mower, it's the one on the right. Yep, this is difficult. All right, put her on. So of course, there's all sorts of crud, crap, grass. I mean, this hasn't been taken apart for 20 years probably, so there's gonna be things everywhere. Give it a quick cleanup. So here is what we want. This is our PTO clutch, all right? So right here, it specifically states everywhere I've seen to not use an air tool to get this off. No impact, no impact. Grab a breaker bar and take it off. Before you take anything off, let's back out a little bit. You see how this is orientated? I know the lighting's a little off, so come a bit over here. What you always do before you take an old part off, you see how it's orientated and you take pictures, okay? This is the only thing I'm taking off, so I don't need to take any pictures. But see this ear? I'm gonna have this ear and this lock bolt. So this is gonna make sure that this doesn't spin, all right? And I'll orientate it this way for both my connectors. Here's my ground here. Here's my connector to the main wiring harness. That's all that I have to do. Okay, got our bolt. Now let's take this off. So what you can do before you take this off, you can disconnect the positive battery cable. I'm not gonna do it because I'm not a person that'll shock myself, but just for a safety kind of thing, you may want to. So there's only 2 connectors that are on this PTO clutch. Right here, it snaps in for the main wiring harness. Right here's the ground, right there, okay? Okay, so update guys, I did get this off. Here's what it looks like on the inside, just so you know. This right here, it's from the mower. This right here is to the actual PTO itself. What worked for me, so I took a small needle nose in here and I pulled up, just like before, remember? But I just took a slightly bigger screwdriver, I put it in, and I turned it, okay? And that torqued it a little bit, then I was able to rip it out. Now, let's get rid of this ground right here. All right, this ground is nothing but a 1/2 inch. Now if you can, avoid touching anything metal, obviously, while you're doing this. Now remember, you don't want to crimp the wire or break the wire, but you have to give it a little bit of pressure here so you can counteract the rotation, right? Okay, so all that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take needle nose pliers right here, and I'm just gonna spin it, okay, just like that, so I don't have my hands touching any metal. All right, that's off. Now, let's put this to the side. Now, once again, don't ever use an impact gun on here. So, even though this is an impact socket, 5/8. Okay, now, I'm not using an impact. What I'm using is a good, old-fashioned 2.5 foot breaker bar, okay? Now, let's see if I can get this off. Uh-oh. Hey, no way. Let me get a socket wrench. Okay, so what I did is I took a rubber mallet, then a wooden mallet, and then this plain fiberglass handle hammer from Harbor Freight, and I retensioned this belt, give me a little more resistance. So I finally got this bolt off here. Now I'm gonna untension the belt, take this off, then I'm gonna get my crowbar, I'm just gonna gently weave it out. I'm gonna pry this out, okay? Alright. Okay. Belt is tucked away. Now let's see if I can get this thing out. Sorry I didn't include this in the tools you'll need earlier, but any crowbar would help. So just go against the block, pry it a little bit. Now don't screw up the keyway. Don't screw up the keyway on that inner shaft. Now you'll see why I said to include antifreeze and original idea of what tools you're gonna need. This thing coming off like I think it is. All right, she is. All right, oh my God, look at that. Here she comes, here she comes. Uh-oh. So what just fell is the spacer. So there's a spacer that has to go on this shaft. Jeez, that was hard. There's a spacer that goes on this shaft so you don't hit the cast block right here. You can see right here. Right here's the keyway. Right there is the keyway, see that? And that's how this stays clocked on here correctly. But I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up, find the spacer, then you'll see me put anti-seize on this. So if anyone has to do this again, they do not have the problem like I did. I'm just cleaning off the whole front of the engine here. You don't have to. You can use compressed air if you want. But I'm just using some paper towels, getting all this crud out of here. This Just wiping everything away. It's gonna get dirty again, but it's the principle of it, in my idea, just the principle of it. And I did find it. Here is that spacer. And the spacer will go right there when I put the new PTO on. Alrighty, so as you can see, we have the old PTO off. All I did, I cleaned all of this up a little bit. I found my spacer, okay? You have to have this. Make sure you either have the one that came off of your mower, or you have to go get another one, because this is exceptionally important, so it's not just spinning right against your casting here, okay? So, I don't know if you can see, come around here, you can see the keyway right here, okay? So what you have to do on your new PTO clutch, you have to spin that bearing, so line up your keyway when you get it on. But, everyone take a look. What else did I do? So I took off the exhaust manifold that goes to the muffkin right here, and I went ahead and I spray painted it. So I'm still waiting on that to dry. It is Friday night, and this is what I'm doing. So what I'm gonna do while I'm waiting, I'm gonna go ahead and get plenty of anti-seize, okay? This is just plain anti-seize lubricant. I'll put the link to this in the description below. This only costs about $8 at Menards. It is definitely worth it. It's cheap, it works well. If you ever have to get one of these off again, it makes your life a whole lot easier. And remember, save more money at Menards. Let's go ahead and douse the shaft. You got plenty of it on here. Make sure you swirl it around. You can get it in the keyway, it doesn't matter. Up and down, up and down. Don't get it on the threads. Do not get it on the inner threads of that shaft, all right? That's a good even coating. Alrighty. I'm gonna go ahead, slide my spacer on. Just like that. See? Now I've got a real thin, even coating of it. That's gonna go onto the back. It's gonna plume a little bit. Yep. Now, once again, if you ever take anything off, make sure you know how it goes back on. Is there a certain orientation? Is there a certain way? Now, I remember which way I put mine on. Right here. This is my clocking stud. Okay? You'll see what I mean in a second. Around all of here, all that I did is a standard cleanup with all of my paper towels. It doesn't have to look perfect. It's a lawnmower, of course, and it's just gonna get dirty again, but this just made my life a little bit easier and gave me peace of mind. Let's go ahead, get the exhaust back on here, then we'll get the PTO on and go for reassembly. All right, so remember, when you get these exhaust pipes off, if you took them off like me, make sure you leave them on loose. So you have to wiggle these exhaust pipes here. When you get the muff can back on, you have to thread it right back in here before you tighten it up. Make sure it can still wiggle, and make sure your exhaust pipes can still wiggle to get in here when you reinstall. Alright guys, so here's my exhaust pipe. All I'm gonna do is line it up. Spray painted it plain black. Spray painted these nuts black as well. Make sure you keep it loose. I spray painted this with Rust-Oleum black spray paint. You can find it at any Lowe's, any Home Depot, even some Kroger's, Publix, or Albertsons actually sells them, but really, any hardware store. Another benefit to using Rust-Oleum is that it will protect the metal from rusting. Whatever it is, I mean, obviously you saw what this looked like at the beginning of the video. It looks a whole lot better now. I didn't even sand it, I didn't use any primer, just plain Rust-Oleum. Oh look, right here. Use a torque wrench, no impact guns, just like I said earlier. So I went ahead and checked the instructions for this bolt on this horsepower engine. It is a 50 foot-pound, and I'll be using my torque wrench. I'll show you that in a second. You know, I will say something about this 810 branded PTO. This comes with a keyway helper. See this right here? So if you look right here, you can see that keyway. You can see how I'm spinning that. And this dot right here, that's right where your keyway is. So all that I have to do is when I'm putting this on, I just have to line up the keyway with this little dot. And if it's not just perfect, then I just shift it a little bit because it has these flat spots. That's kind of cool, actually. Yep, so let's try it out. All right, come on. Remember, clock it, right? All I gotta do is wiggle it. I just gotta wiggle it. Okay. Now, oh. Keep going, keep going. Oh. Is that why? Yeah. Right there. Now I see. Okay, now this is free to spin. Okay, as long as that keyway got seated. Now if I jam it, does this come out? Looks like it comes out. Hot dog, it might. Alright guys, so this is called a D spacer. This is called a D as in Delta spacer, okay? So this got the keyway lined up, right? But this brand of mower, Cub Cadet, it doesn't take this. It doesn't stay on, okay? So you have to remove it. And what I did is I actually got this out. So it goes right inside here in that lip, and I'll reinstall it in a second. But all that I did is I took a socket with a rubber mallet, and all that I did is I held it kind of like that. D-spacer here, socket here, and I just whacked it until this D-spacer came out, all right? So now I'm just gonna reinstall it. Should be fine. So let's go ahead and get this in. Now remember this right here, these are magnets, okay? This is right in there. And how it goes, right on the shaft, all right? It's clocked right here, okay? So kind of bang it in a little bit. All right. Now this extra spacer right here, this came with this new PTO clutch. And the original one right here, this is the one that came with the Cub Cadet originally, so they have the same ID right here, same inner diameter. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the thicker one, okay? Thread it in, pop her in. Yeah, that's why they gave you a thicker one. I see now. Remember, 50 foot-pounds with a torque wrench, never an impact. Okay, let's get a torque wrench. So I have my torque wrench set to 50 foot-pounds. Here we go. I know, the bearing's spinning. I know. Come on. Oh, there it clicked. All right, that's good enough. Let's do the rest of it. All right, so the center bolt right here is torqued. Let's go ahead and get the connectors that do fit together. Wow, look at that. They fit together. Isn't that amazing? For the love of God, tell me they fit together.
It's just...
Is it just this tab right here?
Mm-hmm.
The bane of my existence. Come on. And look at that. Oh, she all goes together. Okay, alrighty. Okay, so everything is put back together electrically as far as the mower knows. So I tightened this up right here, and I have the belt on the brand new PTO. All the connections are in, all the grounds are in, and I tightened up this new belt on the tensioner. So as far as the mower knows, everything's back together. I'm gonna do a test fire right now to see if she runs. That's in, up, so choke, see if it'll work. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, I was a little loud, so we're gonna put the muffler on so it's a bit quieter. But good news is she runs, she will start, and let's get the rest of this back together so we can test it out. So on Mr. Muffkin right here, on these two that actually hold the Muffkin into the Muffkin shield, this one still threads and it went in just fine. This one's completely stripped. So instead of me re-drilling it, re-tapping it, putting a new bolt in there, all I did is Gorilla Glue the living hell out of it, as you can easily tell. So I'll give this a minute or two to sit, then I'm gonna put it back in. Okay, so it's been a few minutes. Let's get the Muffkin back in here. Remember, you have to keep this loose so you can wiggle this in right here, okay? So let's go ahead and drop it down. Now we bring her back up. And there we go. Now, I'm gonna take the socket wrench. I'm gonna go ahead and tighten these up. And see, it's holding it just like that. Now, I'm gonna hand do these inners for the moment, but don't worry, I'll come back. And you have to use an old school wrench. You can't use a click-it wrench, you can't use a U-joint, you have to use just a plain old school wrench. You can only get about maybe a quarter of a turn on the inside on these every time. You have to go like that, then you have to go like that, and you have to go like that. So you got to keep flipping that head every time, okay? Now same for the other side over here. Now I tried to use a U-joint to get this on, and all that happened, I kept getting it wedged right in here. So then I had to bang the living crap out of it to get that thing out. These are 1/2 inch too. See, right there, 1/2 inch. Okay, remember, so there's these 3 bolts. I go into the Muffkin to hold it on that little cross brace in here, okay? Okay, so what I decided to do is do the middle first, right here. And right there, I can see it. I swear to everything, it doesn't seem this hard originally. That it? Tell me that's it. Come on, come on. That threading in. Good God, that might be it. Okay, let's go ahead and get a socket wrench. If I can remember what size that is. Is that 9/16? 9/16. All right. Let's see. There we go. Okay, remember, do not, under any circumstance, tighten this one all the way. You still have to wiggle it to get your other 2 in, or in my case, only 1, because I'm Gorilla Gluing the hell out of the other one. This one, I need to get in, and I can feel that thread right here. All right, here's got to wiggle up right about there. I think that's about it. So if I put this in right here, tell me, is that going in? All right, I'm lucky. I'm real lucky. I should go buy a lottery ticket. Okay, that's all in by hand. See if I can keep going this by hand. Now, my third one right here. You can see he has had much better days. He's getting Gorilla Glued. If it falls out, I am so heartbroken. Okay, remember, Gorilla Glue is really, really strong stuff. That's about all you need. You don't need a whole lot, alright? It'll be right here. It's gonna thread a little bit, then it's gonna stop. Just gonna leave it at that, okay? I'll just leave it right there. All right, now I'm gonna tighten the other two up right here for the muffkin. That's all good. Let's get the belt back on. All I have to do, keep the belt in those pulleys, yank it up. All right, go right about there. Okay, still on the pulley, and you can hear the tension coming on the mower deck. Alrighty, let's go ahead and make her taut. There we go, that's all ready. Now, the next thing to do, make sure this is all tight. All right, so let's make sure the exhaust manifold here is all tight. Going towards the muffkin. Now, remember, these inside bolts here, you have to use just a plain wrench. You can't use anything else, unless you're a lot more talented than I am. See if I can get a... No, I can't get a good yank on it that way. Can this way. Gotta go just a little bit by little bit. That's the only way to do it. I'm not kidding. You have to inch it, inch it, inch it every bit. Just like that. It's the only way to do it. Let's see if I can go this way. Nope. I can do that just a little bit more. Nope, that's about all I'm gonna do on him. So, go over here and try this one. Nice and... Alright, that might be all I wrote on him as well. Yeah, but... Alrighty, that's good enough. So now, exhaust manifold's all tightened up. Next thing to do is to put on bolts for the bumper here. Okay, so what I did earlier is I put the back bolts in and I just kept them loose. So whenever I need to and get to this point, they were already in. All I have to do is line up the front, thread it in, and tighten it up. Now, these don't have to be death tight, but just a real good snug, all right? If you want an exact torque spec, call it 40 foot-pounds probably. All right, this little shield here. Now, these are 5/16, if I remember right. Now, let's just hold it in the spot. Those tapped holes right there. Okay, once again, these are 5/16, okay? Right here, 5/16. That's plenty, that's plenty. Now, we gotta get the other two exhaust shields on right here. Okay, so remember, we saved all of these. Let's put them back on. And these are 3/8. Okay. Alright, so I found the one that I dropped, and this is a 3/8, okay? Make sure you have both the bolt and the washer, alright? Don't touch your throttle or your choke cables right here either, alright? Now, once again, you don't have to have these death grip tightened. Just good enough. These 10mm? Of course they are, look, they're 10mm. Right there, 10mm. So just have them snug, not too tight, all right? And just snug, that's good enough. And this is the other side exhaust shield here. This is on the side with the dipstick of the engine. Remember, you have to remove this to get the shield on, so be gentle that nothing falls down into the crankcase of the engine. Okay, now you can just let this hang for a second. Very top one right here. It's going right there. It's 4 holes, all right? 4 holes, see them? It's going in the very top right hole. Or from your perspective, it's the bottom right. It's that one right there, okay? And you'll be able to tell, because on mine it's tapped. On yours it might not be. Okay, remember your washers, all right? See, easy. Now these other two, and we don't tighten it like crazy. You can still wiggle it and move the other bolts into position. And these are still 10 millimeter. One here, and we need one more going down here, okay? Now this one, right there, right there. It's just like this, all right? Now make sure that's about like that, okay? See how it's cut? See how it's cut? To go right inside of here, okay? I go like crazy, but that's just how it's designed. So just go ahead and do it, all right? Tighten her up. Once again, just snug it up, nothing tight. All right, nothing crazy. And good. Okay, let's put the hood back on. Okay, so now we can get the hood back on. Now, remember, my hood was just kind of dangling here because I didn't want to take the wiring harness out and re-zip tie everything. So, now all I do, lift up. I have to put those 2 bottom black brackets right where they went. And where did they go? They went 1, I'll move that just a little bit. And they went right here. That one went there. Come around to the other side. See this one right here. See how all those holes line up? And mine is riding on the outside of the frame, okay? Yours could be the inside, but mine's the outside. It's a little easiest if you have a helper, but if you don't, you have one hand with this bolt, you have another hand with the hood, you can move it just like that, okay? Now, when you get a good spot, just thread it in. Just starting threads, doesn't have to be crazy. Now hop over to the other side. Other side, and you're gonna do the same thing. Make sure all these line up here. I have all 4 lining up. Okay. I'll go ahead and start this one and adjust it with your other hand if it's not lining up swimmingly, all right? Just like that, just like that. Okay. Do the same for these front 2 right here. Yeah, it's tough. Don't worry. I've got some power tools that'll make that easy. Alright, so I went ahead and I tightened these up, both here and on the other side. Used my handy dandy wrist saver. Makes my life a lot easier. And remember, all tools that I use, I link them in the description below. So if you want to see it, just go check it out. So all that's left are these side panels. Let's get them on. Okay. Remember, I had one of these with one without. You have to line up these 2 front, two front bolts up on top. Okay. Now go ahead and twist this. For me, it's a wing nut. Might not be for you. Goes against this spring here that keeps side panel on. Okay. All right, let's get the other side. So how I get these side panels on, what I do is I start from the back. Put this tongue right in here, and I have this go along the inner edge, that lip right there on the plastic. Then you have these two little slots up here, okay? You have to get inside the slot, bottom first, then you just give it a bang. Now I got the top end. Now, this wing nut right here. Make sure you spin that wing nut, all right? Kind of tough for you guys to see in there. All right. All right. Okay. She's all back together. And now, if my camera girl comes over, most satisfying part of any job. Closing the hood and saying, hey, we are all done. Alright guys, so when I finished last night, it was about midnight, so I thought it was a little rude for me to start my lawnmower on a Friday night. So let's go ahead and see if she starts up. Nice and easy. So it starts up, everything works just like it should. I'm gonna go ahead and break in that new PTO based off of the instructions from this company here, 810. This is a Gen 3 advanced clutch. This cost me $150 on Amazon. I'll go ahead and link this in the description below. But wait, there's more. So maybe you just heard it right there, but the engine's running a bit rough, so we're gonna do a full maintenance job on this mower. That is spark plugs, oil and filter change, air and filter change, fuel filter change, and I will sharpen the blades. I'll show you how to lube up everything. You don't have to have the Kohler oil. You can get just plain 10W30 from AutoZone if you really want to. It doesn't matter the high mileage or not. I just did because this is an older engine. It's about 22 years old. Hey. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment below if you have any questions on what I did or why I did it. And as always, be super today.